based gaming. Initially, I kind of wanted to make a video talking about Amazing Digital Circus and maybe do like a bit more in-depth look into the show, but there are two reasons I have not done that. One, I am kind of lazy and can't be asked to do that video, especially since I can't guarantee if the video will do well in the first place. And two, the fandom is just insufferable at this point for me, but what fandom isn't, am I right? So instead I made this very casual video where I just simply talk about the show. Simply put, the show is quite mediocre, but at the same time it's still like the best show Glitch has put out in my opinion. And it being mediocre doesn't mean the show doesn't have a few good moments that I think are great and I really like. Like the entire Kane crash out scene is still kinda legendary to me. It is so mesmerizing to watch. I don't know, I really like that scene, even if there is something about the scene that tickles me the wrong way. And because I finally sat down and rewatched the entire show start to finish, I found myself liking Jax and only Jax. I think his character is the best written character in the show and feels like it underwent a character arc. Almost. So let's just get started with I think the biggest problem I have noticed about the show, and that is that it is pretty inconsistent. What do I mean is that after the first 4 episodes, I felt like I was watching a very different show. I can't put it into words properly, but I think Goose talking about having the first 4 episodes already outlined in a Tumblr post or whatever might actually be the problem. All in all, I didn't expect the show to be fully written from start to finish, but after the first 4 episodes, it seems pretty clear to me that Goose kinda shifted priorities around. Apparently, she said that episode 7 went through extensive rewrites because it sucked. Well, episode 7 still sucks, so I guess that one is a lost cause. I also don't really think the balance between comedy and the therapy scenes are good. I also very much don't like that there's like no stakes involved in this story. This ties into why I think Jax is like the best character in the form of he's the only one that does something and pushes the others to do something. I think I can blame this on Ace Attorney, where many characters sit around and do fucking nothing of substance, so I kinda got accustomed to seeing this from a mile away. Why does Jax always instigate in order for action to exist and everyone else just sits around and do nothing? Zupel is like the ultimate boss of nothing burger characters. What does she actually do? Aside from sucking off Gangle and having body dysmorphia that seemingly just gets resolved off screen, I mean, the only episodes where the cast seems to be in some sort of danger is episode 1 and 8. Aside from that, they kinda just exist. This ties into my next point, but why is everyone so nice? Why doesn't the show allow these characters to express negative feelings? As far as I'm concerned, Jax was quite hated due to him being the guy who was bullying everyone else, and then the incident happened. I guess it makes sense until you remember that this guy was the only character that was actively making interesting things happening and kept the show entertaining. Episodes where he does nothing end up being the most peaceful of the bunch. And for a character-driven show, they sure as hell barely do anything with the characters. Like yeah, they have backstories and such, that's all well and good, but aside from those backstories, what do these characters do? Like there are many moments where I thought there was set up for interesting character drama that just end up going nowhere real fast. Like many times they show Ragatha looking concerned whenever Pomni and Jax interact in good faith. You would think something would come out of this, but no. In fact, they could have done some kind of grudge between Ragatha and Pomni because of the first episode where Pomni kinda just ran for her life when Ragatha asked for her help. Gangle talks about Ragatha as someone who at one point you just stop realizing how genuine she is being, suggesting a hidden character trait underneath the mask of nice lady. Again, they don't do anything. Here's another example. At the start of the show, it seems to be a little bit implied that Ragatha and Jax seem to have some kind of a relationship, like they used to be friends or something, and they kind of passively just exist together. In fact, this show many times alerts to this fact. So won't you know it, they still fumble this part. During episode 9, the quick-paced flashbacks that we're seeing, Jax barely interacts with Ragatha. Like only once, and that was to discourage Rabbit further. What the hell was that all that crap? Here, another interesting character dynamic, Jax and Gangle. Jax and Gangle were seen interacting a lot during the start of the show, and yeah, they still talk about each other from time to time, but never afterwards do they ever interact. In fact, this could have been explored a little during episode 6 where Jax tries to recruit Gangle as his teammate only to get rejected by her, and that's kinda it. In general, the show just seems to be allergic to creating character drama or telling an interesting story. At the start of episode 2, Pomni has this nightmare where it hints to her having trouble with being abandoned and never goes anywhere beyond this point. At one point in episode 5, she talks about seeking mild thrills, even though at no point is she ever doing anything that could be considered a mild thrill. What a pussy. You could use her to explore the circus. That would be a phenomenal way to inform the viewer and the character herself on what the circus actually is and how it kind of operates in a way. In fact, early on in the show, Pomni seems to have a lot going for her, only for that potential to just go away with each passing episode, culminating into her character only existing to further Jax's development. And that's kinda it. I think the character I'm most disappointed in are Kinger and Kane. Like, these guys should have gotten more focus, because the entire world of this show hinges on these two characters, and yet we barely get anything. Like, they introduce more world building shit during episode 7 and 8 and proceed to disregard all of that in episode 9? What's up with that? I am saddened that Kinger is only there to expand the world a smidge bit and provide therapy for select characters. I feel like there was a lot more they could have done with Kinger, and especially Kane. I noticed Kane is saying a lot of weird shit, especially in those earlier episodes. Digital hallucinations, losing track of who is a human and who isn't, if I messed with your minds, trust me, it will not end up good, or something to that effect. There were many opportunities to make this character ominous as hell, even if he tries to act friendly to the cast. Also, how come Bubbles is a representation of the blue orb, and how come the blue orb was the problematic orb or whatever? I don't think I understood that part. Obviously, I could go on and on and on. There's plenty to critique, but I think there are plenty of people that already expressed those complaints on other platforms and whatnot. And they also got accused from the defenders for being too media illiterate. I guess I have no media illiteracy because I dare criticize this show. Anyways, that's all I got to say about the show. Just a quick little video to put out. The show is not bad, like I said, just extremely mediocre, but it is still the best show that they ever put out. I'm kind of glad that I can peacefully leave the fandom, because if there's one thing I'm concluding from this entire ordeal is that if you jiggle a bunch of LGBTQ keys in front of people, then they go crazy. It's very sad that many people care more about the sexuality of people that don't even exist as opposed to how good said piece of media is. I guess not everything is sunshine and rainbows. If Goose decides to make another show, then I'll look forward to it with pure optimism, because I like to think she learned many lessons while making this. And from what I've seen, yeah, she does. This was Base Gaming, and you're watching Nickelodeon.
So if you're interested in learning how to write a television show, you've come to the right YouTube video, because that's what I'm going to teach you today. All right, let's go over this in list form. Number 1. Would Jax have voted for Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton in the 2016 United States presidential election?